I want to say thank you to Lieutenant Governor Patrick, Speaker Burrows. I want to say thank you to Chairman Perry, Chairman Keene, and all committee members for coming to Kerrville to hold this hearing. I know it took time and extra effort to come to Kerrville. Thank you for your dedication and hard work to come up with solutions for the problems caused by this flood. When Lieutenant Governor Patrick told me this hearing would be in Kerrville, I was thankful. Thankful because it's important for you to be here where the flood happened, but also thankful because it's important for you to hear directly from our community about the tragedy which occurred here in the morning hours of July 4th, 2025. Here's what you need to know about our community. We are grieving. We are shaken. But we are not broken. Dalton Rice, the city manager of the city of Kerrville, will share several important things with you in just a moment. He will share the timeline of the city's response to this disaster. He will share some of the actions we took which helped save lives. And he will share some of the lessons we've learned since July 4th, things we can do better to improve our city's response when the Guadalupe River floods again. And it will flood again. My main purpose today is to join Lieutenant Governor Patrick in calling for a flood warning system to be designed and installed in Kerr County before next summer. Whether it's a series of warning sirens or an automated, data-driven alerting system, or even a hybrid of both, we need solutions in place that protect the public and save lives. Frankly, we will need your help to achieve this goal. Here's one thing I learned from this tragedy. When Kerrville and Kerr County asked for help, help came. You are here today, and we're asking you for help. Help came from the state of Texas, help came from the United States, and help came from around the world. President Trump and Governor Abbott have been focused on sending help. I will be forever thankful to the brave men and women who showed up here to rescue those in peril and to search for those who are still lost. Thousands also came to feed the hungry, to give shelter to those who lost their homes, and to help our communities rebuild. Please know that Kerrville and Kerr County are grateful. Thanks again for being here today. I know we can find solutions together.
Dalton.
Lieutenant Governor Patrick, Speaker Burrows, Chairman Perry, and Chairman King, and honorable members of this committee, thank you for being here in Kerrville and Kerr County and for the opportunity to speak. I've had the privilege to serve in the military as a firefighter paramedic, in healthcare, and now in public administration. Sadly, I've seen the toll of both natural and man-made disasters far too often. What we experienced here over the July 4th weekend will stay with our community forever. But so will the strength, heart, and resilience shown by our people. Let me begin with a brief overview of Kerrville and our emergency planning efforts. Kerrville is a full-service city of about 25,000 people located in the heart of the Texas Hill Country in East Kerr County. Emergency management is a shared responsibility embedded in our culture from city council to our frontline responders. We maintain an updated hazard mitigation plan, develop emergency action plans for large and small events, and routinely partner with the county, National EMR, TxDOT, and others. Just last year, we used the total solar eclipse as a full-scale disaster exercise. That preparation made a difference. We've also adopted strict floodplain regulations aligned with FEMA standards and recently implemented a 6-year building code update cycle to meet post-disaster resilience requirements. Those proactive measures minimize structural damage during the floods. I've included in your packet our floodplain and floodway development regulation summary, charts reflecting buildings in the floodway, the 100-year and 500-year chance for flood hazard zones, and a breakdown of how we allocated 98% ARPA funds to public safety. On July 3rd, weather forecasts indicated scattered storms with possible isolated flooding. What followed was one of the most intense, short-duration rain events in our history, western Kerr County receiving most of the rain. The flash flood overwhelmed watersheds to the west. I've included in your packet a matrix of weather events since January and a map of the 16 watersheds that impact Kerr County. Our new public safety facility is currently being built. Despite not having a completed emergency operations center, our teams were coordinated and responded rapidly. Teams began evacuations in known low-lying areas. We relocated operations to a larger joint EOC by 6 p.m. on July 4th, and within 24 hours had a unified command established with the county, TDM, National EMR, and many local, state, and federal partners. Kerrville operates the local Public Safety Answering Point, or PSAP, and received 35 calls from 0300 to 0400, 218 calls from 0400 to 0500, and 230 calls from 0500 to 0600. I've included a chart showing the call volume, and I apologize for the small print and quality. Our emergency management approach works. As you can see in the July 3rd and 4th timelines in your packets, at 2:42, patrol officers were proactively checking known low water crossings throughout the city with none reported. At 4:06 a.m., they began checking the park with no rise to the river. At 4:14 a.m., dispatch began getting overwhelmed with 911 calls, at which our teams began requesting additional resources and personnel and further assessing the situation before notifying leadership in accordance with our policy. At 4:54 a.m., the supervisor drove west to Bear Creek Crossing for an additional assessment, which you'll see in the timeline. Despite overwhelming conditions, our team saved countless lives, managed logistics under extreme duress, and maintained continuity of city operations. But I stand before you today fully acknowledging that we must also examine where we can do better. Our preparedness paid off. Structures built to our standards were elevated, engineered, and code compliant, and sustained minimal damage. But this event also showed us gaps. Additional insights will be documented in our after-action review and our corrective action plans. Aligning with the objectives of this hearing, we respectfully ask the committee to explore the following areas that affect both immediate and long-term public safety and local government operations, and look forward to working with each of you in the coming days and weeks for a viable path forward. Floodway and plain rebuilding policy, regulatory authority in the ETJ and annexation, low to moderate income restrictions tied to funding, long-term negative impacts on property tax and spending caps, radio and equipment interoperability. The following areas are areas we request state assistance on. Fund project identified in our Stormwater Master Plan and the State Flood Plan through the Flood Infrastructure Fund and other funding sources. Invest in localized predictive weather modeling to better serve rural communities. Expand the Broadband Infrastructure Fund or other funding mechanisms to improve cellular coverage in rural areas. Expand and fund House Bill 3010, which was passed in the 89th legislation, the Rural Infrastructure Disaster Fund, or other appropriate funds to help in disaster recovery. Establish a dedicated hazard mitigation fund aligned with local hazard mitigation plans. Develop automated data-driven flood and weather alert systems. And consider requiring camps in certain facilities in high-risk areas to maintain emergency action plans. It is still very early in the process, and I'm proud of what our teams have accomplished. Our people acted with professionalism and heart, often while their own families were in danger. I am proud of them, but we're not too proud to say we can do better. and we want to work with you to make that happen. We've also identified some lessons learned, even in the short time before our after-action review. We've identified areas of improvement in our dispatch center and notification processes. While critical information reached the right people, we recognize the need for more streamlined communication. A 3:34 a.m. call was transferred to the county, but we lacked the procedure to notify all personnel in flooding events across the jurisdictions. Our patrols team showed strong situational awareness, but broader communication is essential. Family communication during the event could have been faster. Although support services were in place, there were moments when families received updates through the media before hearing directly from officials. Once identified, we assigned a public information officer to provide 24/7 family communication, and Sheriff Latha and I remained directly engaged with the families. Additional insights will be documented in our after-action review and corrective action plans. Kerrville will rebuild, but we need the tools and the funding to do it right. Thank you for allowing us to share our story, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
William?
Good morning, Chairman Perry, and Chairman King, and members of this select committee. Thank you for traveling to Kerrville so that we can provide